execution. Why do we need it? We need it to inform. We need it to start doing all the things we need. But you know what, guys? It all starts with that plan in your head. Regardless if you're working on a movie, regardless if you're working on your organization, you have to say, what is it specifically I want to do? You know why you need that? Because if you got people you're trying to put on your team, if you can't convey it to them clearly, guess what? He said you're going to be with that same team that you yourself and I, that's who you're going to be on your team. But guess what, guys? In this day and age, if you want things to happen, you're going to have to partner with people. You're going to have to team up with other organizations. And if you cannot be specific about what it is you're trying to do, you can't convey that. So be clear about what it is you want to do. If you want to change how early I want to get to work in the morning, you may have to get up and change your night before so that your next day can get started. But guys, you got to get started with actually looking at your plan first. And then you have to be accountable. You have to be accountable to different things. For instance, if you were trying to organize a meeting just like we had today, we're having now, it started with a plan long before we got here. It started with a plan on every single thing we did. We talked about the equipment, the topic, the people that are coming together. Guys, don't be the only ones that all you ever do to a meeting is show up at one. Because when somebody puts you in charge, you want to know why they say you don't know what you're doing? Because you're not looking at all the details. Pay attention to your details. Make sure you make people responsible for what? The details. Because if you don't know what it takes to make your meeting happen, it ain't happening. If you don't know who's speaking, it's not happening. If you don't know what equipment you need, it's not happening. So think about your plan. If you're changing this in your life, if you're changing this in your organization, you have to start with a plan. You want to know how movies get done? Does anybody know how movies get started?
Start with script first, right?
Start with script, but guess what? It even started before that. It was an idea. And you know what? You know how you shoot a movie? I can't shoot a movie with the idea in your head. I can't see it. Can't tell it to anybody on my team. So it has to then be developed into what? A script. Do you know what a script is like when it comes, that's very similar to architecture? It's your blueprint. It is your blueprint. You got to have the blueprint. And people say, why do you have that blueprint? Because guys, if somebody walk up to you and say, hey, I want you to build this house, you cannot give them a price until you know what? What's the final detail? They may say, sure, I want you to build a house. Well, they ain't telling you the house I want going to cost you $10 million. But I got you saying you're going to do it for $100,000. And they're going to tell you, oh, it's going to be 50,000 square feet. It's going to be 17 bathrooms. So you have to get that specific plan together for it first, right? Now, that's where your script is like your blueprint. Because once they get it, you say, hey, you ain't coming in here to throw a couple of floors on us now. You already said to build 2 stories. You ain't finna throw 15 stories on top of that. So you can't commit to it. But that's your blueprint. Now you're able to say, what is it I need with this script? How am I going to get it executed? I need somebody to do my lights. I need somebody to do my sound. Same thing these supervisors say, hey, I'm going to build that deal. I need somebody to do my electrical work, my drywall, pour my concrete. They have to line it up, guys. And guess what? They have to say, here's the schedule. Here's the to-do list. What it is we're going to start with first. And roll them plans out and say, what? We're going to have to clear the land first. They have to put a tentative schedule. They got to say, what are we going to clear? Well, you ain't going to clear it with shovels. Not 10 acres. What do you got to come up with? What's the plan on clearing? What's the plan? You need to get these kind of bulldozers that can deal with this kind of stuff, that can move this amount of earth to do this in this specific time. Because if we say we got 6 months, start with a shovel and see what you're going to get. You follow me? But also, guys, even when you get to that, before you get there, you still have to look at whatever your plan is and say, what? We need this equipment, these materials, we need these resources. But when you speak to you about your organizations, first thing you need to do, right now, what resources are here with dads on duty right now that you can see? What resources? Say it again. The people in the room. Not just them physically being here, but also what else about those people? The skills, the talent. She's telling you right now what it takes to get it done. You have to communicate it clearly on what it is you need them to do. Do I need drummer? to host a meeting? Do I need Steve to talk about his organization? I have to be clear on that and say, yes, that's what we need you to do. Because if not, Steve said, well, I'm going to hold the door. I'm going to stand in the back. I'm not going to say nothing to anybody. Dr. Hill, he's going to be like, hey, they won't even speak, so I'm just going to stand back here and sit down in the chair. I'm going to look around. I'm not going to get up. Guys, you have to put your team together, tell them clearly what you need them to do, and then what? Hold them accountable for it. Hold them accountable. You got to say, hey, Steve, you know the topic you're going to talk about? You really going to be there? Because what? You got to also be ready in case what? You get stuck in traffic. It happens all the time. Machines break down when you clear a lane. You got to have a backup plan. Because guys, if you told some folks you need it done in 6 months, you got to be what? Planning for all the things. You got to ask those questions when you're considering what can stop us from doing this. So we like to jump and think we got a good idea, but we get mad when people sit down and say, here are the details. The details are asked for a simple reason. Because the reason why stuff is actually executed, when it's executed good, is because you sat down in that brainstorming session that's really between your idea and your script, and you've asked those questions. Okay, who we going to need to do this? Who we going to need to do that? How much are we going to pay? Where are we going to get the money from? Because guys, you can come up with the greatest idea. If you can't execute it, it's just a great idea. Trust me, the best ideas are where, folks? In everybody's head. The best ideas in the world, in their head. You know why? They're going to be in somebody's head? Because they don't want to take the time to say, okay, let me sit down. Let me share with a team of people that can give me some creative criticism on it. Who can also do a brainstorming session and say, what is it going to take to complete it? Did you guys realize they're building cities now? And they're creating land? You think that they decided that let's go create some land? Or did they ask those questions? They're building a city in Seoul. They're adding about 1/4 of an acre a day. You know what they're doing? Guys, they've already went and got samples of the land. They've already talked about the materials they're going to do. They've also talked about what? What are the engineers? They asked these questions before they went out there digging. Because they knew, if we just go dump some sand over there and keep that we're going to do it, guess what? Current's too fast. We'll push it away. Wow. Because somebody said, let's go dump it out there. Somebody said, no, we ain't finna go dump that out there. First of all, what are we going to attach it to? You understand why these questions are there? So guys, when you start this organization, when you start these changes, even with your own selves, don't run from the brainstorming session. Don't run from the questions. Sit down, make a checklist. Y'all write that down. Make a checklist of what it is it's going to take for you to do it. Hold people accountable for what they need to do. And if you know you got people on your team who ain't timely, don't give them nothing timely to do. I've had people, you know those folks who, I don't care what you tell them, you can tell them 2 weeks in advance, you can tell them the time of day, man, shoot, Victor's going to show up late again. You know that. Well, Victor don't need to be the one that's going to pick up the stuff down there on time. Victor's probably better doing something else. So what do? You ask Victor to be over here doing something else. I ain't going to ask him to do that. I'm going to ask Dr. LL. Dr. LL, if I tell him I need to pick it up, I ain't worried about it. Dr. LL going to pick it up. He going to be there. Look at your resources that way. Because a lot of times people are, man, like you said, I heard somebody say, well, this should come in. He always going to make it to help you on Saturday, ain't he? He going to always make it on Saturday to help you. When Saturday comes, you're going to get it. Do we get mad, folks, and we know this? No. We plan what? We plan to do it without it. Because that has to be how you execute it. You got to get it done if there's nobody on your team but you. And too often, that's what happens. In our organization, in our lives, that's what we need. We have to look at doing things ourselves. But guys, get your checklist, get your brainstorming session, go down and look at your resources and see. And then guess what, guys? You're going to have to do it. Just like Dr. Hill said, what did he say? How do we make change happen? We do what? Well, it don't get started unless you do what? Change. It's just like, hey, if you know for a fact I need to get up early, you can't keep hitting that alarm clock. Keep the alarm clock talking about you going to get up early. What are you going to have to do? Get up early. I don't understand that. And then be held accountable. There should be consequences for it. It's just like if you